first case had not been going too well. I had been trailing a lady whose husband was paying me to find evidence that she was having an affair. The only lead I had so far was the name Bob Martin, and that lead was going as cold as the blood that ran through me as I mingled with the low-life scum walking the unfriendly London streets beside me. All the dregs of society seemed to be out with me on them mean streets of London. Drug pushers, pimps, politicians, rapists and murderers. But amid all this foul depravity was a group of women doing good deeds. Prostitutes. And it was seeing these ladies of the night standing on the street corners that gave me an idea. Who would have more knowledge of what the word on the street was than a hooker? So it was then that I started seeing hookers in the hope that one of them might have come across the mysterious Bob Martin, or possibly he may have come across her. The first prostitute I frequented was called Susie, and when we got to her room, she asked what I was after. I said, Bob Martin. I don't know that, she said, but you can do anal doggy for £100. I wondered if she knew more than she was letting on, but after pumping her for information for an hour, she still claimed to have no knowledge of Bob Martin. The next night I was back out on the cold London streets, looking for another prostitute who might be able to help me track down Bob Martin. I trudged through neon-coloured puddles, along the stinking streets of Paddington, past a donut seller whose sign read, finger-licking jam donuts. I always avoid licking a jammy ring, so I kept on going. I walked past the charity shop where a tramp was urinating on a bag of clothing that had been left in the doorway. I said to him, why can't you do that somewhere else? Those clothes have been donated by someone. He turned to me with sad, weary eyes and said, fuck off. And as he did, he was pissing on my shoes. I carried on down the street, rinsing my shoes in the puddles as I went. I was having no luck finding a hooker who might have some info on Bob Martin. But as I approached a phone box, I spotted lots of advertising cards in it and went in to see if one of the cards might lead me to a lady who could point me in the right direction. I began reading the cards. There were cards advertising an assortment of professional services. One was for a one-armed taxidermist, whose card exclaimed, you hold it, I'll stuff it. Another was for a backstreet hair removal service. And there was another advertising an organic plumber. But by far most of the cards were for prostitutes. I picked out one that I thought would be the most professionally rewarding, rang the number, and 25 minutes later I found myself in bed with a blonde who knew everything about sucking cock but nothing about Bob Martin, although she did mention something about dogs. Later that night I was back at my office. My wallet was £100 lighter and my case seemed to have completely stalled. I took a look at my finances for the last few days, and I'd spent £400 on prostitutes, and during that same period my income was just £200. Something just didn't add up. On top of that, I was now regretting putting my card in the phone box. My card read, call Basil, private dick. The calls offering me gay sex were driving me mad. But all was not lost. As I sat there in my poorly lit office, drinking my fourth whiskey, with cigarette smoke swirling patterns in the multicoloured neon lights streaming in through the rainy windows, and John Coltrane played on a distant radio, an idea came to me that might just lead me on the right road, the road to finding the mysterious Bob Martin. And that idea was just one word, and that one word was Google.